Good morning, we're live. Jordan Ginn here, PSP staff out of London, Ontario, servicing Southwestern Ontario. We got functional core strength today. No one's on quite yet, so I'm just gonna let the time run. We're gonna get started in 2 minutes. What I am gonna do is I'm just gonna go through the disclaimer before we even get started. So in response to COVID-19, PSP is offering telefitness to Canadian Armed Force members. By using social media platforms, the telefitness class is tailored to Canadian Armed Forces personnel, becomes accessible to all. Prior to participating in this session and to make an informed decision on whether you should seek advice from a qualified exercise professional or healthcare provider, consult the Get Active questionnaire of the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology and its reference document. So that was provided in the details for this workout. By continuing with this telefitness class, you understand that there's a possibility of physical injury and that you agree and do so voluntarily at your own risk. You also assume all risk of injury and agree to release the Canadian Force Morale and Welfare Services from any and all claims related to your participation in this telefitness class. All right, good stuff. We have one person on right now. So we got Hannah who's joined in. Adrian is going to be working the comments section today. So for anyone who is viewing, so Mr. Parks is here. Mr. Parks is going to be representing Garrison Toronto, and he's going to be answering any comments that people have. So good morning, Hannah. Once we hit 9 o'clock, we'll just go ahead. We'll get started. We'll jump right into the class. And we'll get started regardless of whether there's participants or not. People will consider following this class at a later date, so it will remain available to all. So we have Marissa, who has just joined. Marissa is the physical exercise manager out of Garrison Toronto. She's been posting some great videos, so check out the PSP Garrison Toronto page. She's been doing mobility exercises, so she's been posting those every Sunday. So she's got a theme, posting weekly. Make sure that you guys also check out the national PSP page. That's Canadian Armed Forces PSP, and make sure that you check out all the services that are being offered virtually. So it's not only fitness, there's health promotion, webinars that are happening regularly, and all are welcome to attend. Good morning, Kim. Hopefully you guys enjoyed your weekend. I hope you guys were outside enjoying some of the sunshine. I certainly was. I don't know if you can tell, but I got a little bit of sun yesterday. Obviously, social distancing. I hope that the PERS in Toronto were not at the Trinity Park along with the rest of the attendees on Saturday. That was quite the amount of people that were in that park, not social distancing. All right, let's get to it. It's already after 9, so we're going to be doing a functional core strength class. We're going to be focusing on this to try to build our overall core strength functionally. It's going to aid us in reducing the risk of injury when performing all sorts of different tasks, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, anything that's going to relate to pushing, pulling, lifting, any of the common things that we would generally do. We're going to try to build a nice, strong core so that when we're performing any of those mentioned movements, we're at less risk of overall injury. So today's focus is going to have some strength focus. It's going to have some endurance focus. It really just depends on where you're at as an individual. So if you're less conditioned and you're more of a beginner, you may end up focusing a little bit more on strength. And those who are a bit more advanced, who can train for longer, possibly under a bit of a reduced amount of resistance, because it might be less than what you're used to using, may end up into more strength endurance. So with that being said, it's all going to be independent to you, and everyone at home is going to have the ability to certainly adjust as they need to. So the movements that we're going to be focusing on through today, I'll certainly be demonstrating, but if you did read through the information in the beginning, we're going to be going through All 4 movements that are compound based. We're adding 2 movements together, and we're going to try to keep things single armed as much as possible. That's going to allow us to engage more of the core because it's going to offset us. And then we're going to finish off at the end of the workout with just some more traditional core movements. So Terry and myself, so Terry being my partner, are going to be doing this workout today. I'm going to use a little bit more resistance. I'm going to put a backpack on that's roughly around 10 pounds, but I'm going to be able to secure it so it doesn't move around on me. So that would be key at home if you decided to do something similar. And I'm just doing that to add weight. So when I work, I'm probably going to work for a little bit less. I'm going to fatigue faster with the amount of resistance that I'm using, which means I'm going to take a bit more recovery. And Terry's going to be working for longer. So she's going to aim for in and around 50 seconds. So the clock is always going to run for 50. It's going to be a 10-second countdown within our transitions, which means that we're always working. After we perform a series of 4 movements, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up focusing on a minute rest. So with that being said, because of all the work we're doing relative to the rest, we're most likely going to get into an aerobic zone with the heart rate. Depending on how conditioned you are will depend on how high your heart rate gets, but it's most likely going to end up in a low cardiovascular zone. So now that I've explained everything, why don't we kind of just get into a little bit more of the detail related to the class. So in regards to resistance, if you don't have any, you certainly want to grab some. I have my double backpack. I have the one that I'm going to lift with and the one that I'm going to wear. So about 10 pounds, and this one's 20 pounds. And Terry's got a variety of resistance as well. So she has a backpack that's roughly around 10 to 15 pounds. She has a kettlebell that's 20. And then we also have a laundry bottle. So these would be the best types of resistance to use today. But obviously you can modify with what you have at home. So going through the exercises today, the first one we're going to focus on, and you can do different variations. I'd say the easiest one for you would just be focusing on a squat. If you want to add in the press, you certainly can do that. Okay, but what we're going to focus on is going to be a thruster. So we're going to grab the resistance with one hand. I'm going to squat down. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to thrust it to the top position. I'm going to lower it down. I'm going to squat. I'm going to grab with the other hand. I'm going to thrust it up, and I'm going to continue. So that's our first movement here. The second movement we're going to do is going to be a push-up. And we're going to take a wider stance with our feet. We're going to push up. We're going to come into a bit of a side plank. We're going to push up, and we're going to always make sure that we're alternating sides. Getting into our next movement, we're going to focus on getting some resistance up above head. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lunge forward with the opposite leg. So this is going to force a little bit more balance and stability. And then halfway through, I'm going to focus on switching to the other side. So we're staying nice and tall with the upper body. And we're going to use that resistance above head. But if it's too difficult, you can just hold it in front of the body. The last movement we're going to do is we're going to focus on a row. With a stiff-legged deadlift. So we start extended, we keep the chest out, we bring the resistance up, and we come back up. We're not going to lock out at the top. I want you to keep a little bit of resistance the whole way through. So I want you to keep those movements controlled, and I want you to focus on the contraction. So those are the movements that we're going to focus on initially. The core movements we'll go through later. So we'll do those series of 4, 50 seconds by 10. We'll take an extra minute. We're going to do that 3 times. Okay, I'm just going to check to see if you have any questions. If not, we're going to go ahead and get started with the warm-up. I'll have you guys all wrapped up by 10:02 at the latest. So the workout will be no longer than 50 minutes. So Adrian's here on the comments, but I'm just going to double check here, see if everybody's ready to go. Let's see some thumbs up if you guys are ready to get started into the warm-up. I'm sure that's to be the case. All right, so you guys at home, you're going to be controlling your own music. So if you want to go ahead and start that now, first thing I want to do is just going to be to loosen up a little bit. So we'll just start off by moving on the spot. And let's just focus on bringing the arms across the chest. We just want to make sure that we get the blood flowing here, that we get ready for the session. We want to do it gradually, so our warm-up is going to be progressive. So arms swinging across. Let's just focus on relaxing the upper body. Let's bring those heels back, loosen up through the hamstrings. And then we have Terry here in the back. She can move over to this corner. That way she can be seen here. So I'll try to stay to the one side. Terry, I'll stay to the other. So you can work along with me. You can work along with Terry. So let's bring the knees up. So as I mentioned, I'm doing a little bit more strength. I'll be working for a little bit less. I'll be using more resistance. Terry's going to work longer, and she's just going to focus on using a little bit of less resistance, or she's going to use the same as me and just show me up by going longer. All right, let's just focus on jogging a little bit here. So we're just going to get the heart rate up a little bit. So you can move back and forth. If you don't feel like jogging, you can do a little bit of a football shuffle. You can do fast feet. Just try to warm up, get the body temperature elevated a bit. Let's just bring it into a few jumping jacks here. Make sure we get the body warm, get the heart rate up a bit. All right, let's walk it out here. Let's just focus on doing a few squats on the spot. So we're going to sit back and drive up. Remember to push off the heels. Try not to lock out in the top position, so we'll keep slight bend in the knee. From here, let's bring it into a lunge. So we're going to step forward. And for now, let's just focus on alternating. So head's neutral, chest is tall. Let's do one more each side. Let's focus on bringing it into a push-up position. Let's just do 5 here at your own pace. All right, good stuff. Let's grab some resistance. Let's just focus on doing a few shoulder presses here. I like to step one leg back to help keep my body nice and straight. All right, let's bring it into the row. So chest nice and tall. Breathing in and out. All right, so we've warmed up with a little bit of resistance. We've gotten the body temperature up. We've gotten the heart rate up. We're going to go ahead and get started. So why don't you guys at home just grab a quick drink. And we're going to be starting off with the squat and the thruster. So I'm going to throw on a bit of resistance here. And you guys are adjusting at home based upon what your goals are here today. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to get started. Adrian's answering any questions. So let's get ready here. Three, two, one. And I'm going to alternate from side to side, keeping it controlled. In between, I'm going to add a squat. So I'm adding in a little bit of that thruster just to help get that resistance up. That's it. Keep control. We don't want to focus on injury, so just make sure that you're controlling the resistance. Your body's going to have to fight to balance it with that single arm movement. All right, so we're going to switch now. We're going to move into that push-up. We're going to focus on turning it into that side lunge. So it's going to help if your feet are a little bit wider apart. So as mentioned, I'm not going to do quite as many reps. Terry's going to drop to the knees as soon as she gets fatigued. All right, Terry's gonna keep working. I'm gonna take a little bit more rest. The next movement we're gonna go into is that lunge. Maybe you guys are still working at home, working into that recovery. I'm gonna walk it out. We're gonna go into that lunge. So we're gonna go, if you're starting with the right, we're lunging with the opposite. Keep that chest nice and tall. You want to make sure that halfway through, we're switching sides. Switching legs. Great work. Let's keep it up at home. Heart rate's getting up a little bit, as I mentioned, just with the amount of resistance and then the time. All right, if you can do this one single-handed, it's going to be better. It's the stiff-legged with the, so I'm not sure if I have the ability to do it here, but we're going to come up, I'm going to row, and then back up. So this is going to force me to have to engage a little bit more, but I do want to switch about halfway through. So we're going to switch sides. Have to think about it a little bit here. So the chest is out. You want to make sure that the back is neutral. And my core is having to work here, mainly to balance the resistance. 2, 1. All right, take a breather. So that's round one. You're definitely starting to sweat a bit here. Maybe you guys are at home. How's it going? Let's see some thumbs up, some likes. I'll check to see if we have any comments here. So that's round one. So we'll go ahead, we'll get started after the next time session comes through. What's that?
My kettlebell, it's huge.
That is a big kettlebell. Terry's in beast mode though.
It's only 20 pounds.
20 pounds, all savage. All right, so we're back to the beginning. We're gonna focus on that thruster with the squat. If you're with me, Terry's only doing the thruster. It's just because of the resistance we're using. So 2, 1, let's go. So a little bit of that thrust to help get the weight up. I'm setting it down, I'm squatting. I jump started that. That's all right, we're gonna get into a couple more reps. Keep everything engaged. Don't move out of control. With all the twisting, if we're not careful of what we're doing and we're not moving controlled, we're more at risk of injury. Breathing out as we push up, controlling that weight down. We're adding the squat. Terry's going full beast mode here. Always a lot harder or hotter doing these workouts inside. More sweat for sure. All right, moving into the next movement. We're focused on the push-up here. So we'll get into that position. Feet wide, down, and then twist up. Keep everything controlled. Not about the volume. It's about the quality. So having this extra weight on the back, I'm forced to really engage the core as I switch from side to side, trying to balance that resistance. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit longer of a breather. That's probably the most difficult movement here, so I'm going to just recover a little bit. Terry's going full beast mode, still working through. All right, so we're going to move back into the lunge with the single arm overhead. So if you're doing right arm, it's left leg. Stay nice and tall. Want to avoid injury. When your oblique's going to be tight, we're having to balance that resistance. In and around halfway through, we're switching sides. So heart rate's certainly in an aerobic zone right now. Let's switch. Remember that option. If this is too difficult, you can hold the resistance in front of the body, or you can eliminate the resistance altogether. Remember to control your movements. All right, so we're going to get back into that single arm if you can, with the deadlift, the stiff-legged with the row. Halfway through one side, back is nice and straight. Trying not to lock out at the top. I'm going to switch sides and continue through. So once again, we're focusing on the one arm to create more of a stability requirement through the core. Makes it a little bit more difficult too if the resistance is heavier. All right, let's take a breather again. How's everybody still doing at home? Let's go, guys. Let's keep it up. We got one more round of this. So we'll let this timer count down and through. How's everybody doing at home? Let's see some thumbs up, some hearts. Give me any comments if you have any. I can see it up on my screen right here. Make sure you're hydrating in between. If the 50 seconds is becoming too difficult, drop to 40. 40 is too difficult, drop to 30. All right, those hearts are coming out. It's delayed, but I still like to see the love. Like to see the love. All right, we're getting ready. We're going through this round one more time. So we're going back to the thruster with the squat, single arm. Let's let it count down. We have that 10 seconds. So we'll get ready here. Nice clean form. Drive off the heel. Keep everything controlled. All right, let's get it. And I'm adding in that squat here. Controlling the movement. I'm using my arm up just for a little bit of balance. Let's keep it up. We're doing great. So if you need to, you're just taking a little bit more rest. Awesome work at home. Let's keep it up. All right, back into the push-up with the twist. Remember, keep everything engaged. And start. Feet wide. It's going to assist you when you come to the side. Hold that finished position just for a moment. Great job. Let's keep it up at home. Control it. All right, into the lunge, single arm. If you're fatiguing, just leave the weight out. Let's go. Right arm, left leg. Chest tall. Control. Heart rate's pounding right now. Full cardio. We're gonna switch sides after this rep. Let's hang in there. Let's keep it up. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Let's earn this recovery. All right, one more. So we're into that row. Back nice and straight. We're down. Adding that row back up. Back neutral. Head neutral. Really engaging the core here. Having to balance the resistance. We're going to switch after this rep. We're going to continue here. Almost there. We're going to take a breather. We're going to focus on some core specific. Awesome work at home. Let's keep it up. All right, so we're good with the resistance. You can set it off to the side. We're going to take a bit over a minute here. So a minute 10. So go ahead, grab a drink. The hard part's done, I'd say. Those were big compound movements. They require a lot more energy. See if we got any feedback here, any comments. Thank you for adding that, Adrian. Much appreciated. You can see I got some sweat flowing here. I'm sure you guys do at home. So we're getting a little bit of that cardio element just because of the continual work with the reduced overall rest. So just getting into the next session. So grab that drink. Hopefully you're ready to get started again. This session is going to be all front led. So you're either doing a Superman or a bird dog. And I'll show you the Superman. So we're alternate arm, alternate leg, keeping full control. We're going for 5 seconds. So making sure if you're doing one side at a time, you're switching halfway through, which is just going to be in a couple more reps. So if you haven't already, let's switch sides. So you're working along either with me or with Terry. Keeping everything nice and controlled. Focus on your breathing. Focus on full control. All right, we're switching. We're coming into the walkout. So we're in a plank position from the knees. Glutes can be up a little bit to keep the quads up off the floor. And we're just focusing on walking out. So how far you walk out is going to be up to you. If you want to rest all together in between, you can do that as well. And then you're going to engage as you come forward. Always keeping control. So if I come back as I'm demonstrating, I'm going to lose tension. So if you want to keep tension, Stay in that plank position. Glutes a little bit elevated here is fine. All right, we're going to progress into our next movement. So we're going to hold a glute bridge this time, and then we're going to move into a plank. So we'll lay down, and we're going to come up, control down. If you just want to hold the position, you can. You're engaging the glutes. You're keeping the body elevated so you're not dropping, sagging down. And if this is too easy, you can hold one leg out at a time. But your body, you need that to stay nice and straight. So I'm going to switch every few seconds here. And you want to be able to keep your hip nice and high here. If you start to sag, you're just becoming tired. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to hold this position. We're going to finish with a plank. We're going to take another minute rest. So let's hold it here. Let's recover. We'll come into the plank position. So you can do this from the hands. You can do this from the elbow. And let's just focus on keeping the head neutral. Keep everything engaged. Concentrate on that hold. If you start to get tired, drop down to your knees. Squeezing our glutes, squeezing through the quads. Keeping everything nice and tight, tight through the core. Keeping that head neutral. And we're going to earn this minute's rest. Let's hang in there. 10 seconds. And rest. All right, let's take a minute. We're going to do that 2 more times. How are we doing at home? How are you guys feeling? Let's see some hearts. Let's see some thumbs up. Delayed, I'd hope. Hopefully, if you're watching this after the fact, hopefully you're enjoying the session. So we're going to focus on 2 more rounds there. And then we'll get into the cool down. So as mentioned, I'll wrap it up before 10-2. There we go. We got the delayed hearts, the delayed thumbs up. Right now, we got the Toronto crew watching. I think they're the only ones. But I do appreciate it. I appreciate you guys coming in and participating today. All right, let's bring it back into the bird dog. So we got 10 seconds here. So I'm going to do the bird dog this time as well. Last time I did the Superman. So we're just going to focus on getting a nice straight position across the top. There's certainly variations that we can do here. I'm just going to do a few reps on each side, and then I'm going to just switch back and forth, making sure I keep it even throughout. Keeping everything controlled, focusing on eliminating momentum. As I mentioned, I'm just switching back and forth. Let's keep it up. I'm just trying to catch up here. So now we're going to be into the walkouts and then the glute bridge. So from the knees is good. Glutes can be a little bit elevated because we're trying to keep the quads from coming into the ground. Whether you relax or not is up to you. So relaxing is going to be walking back into a finished position. Just always making sure we're controlled. Keeping the core engaged. Almost there. All right, let's bring it into the glute bridge. Resting down. If you can't fully see me, I'm sure you can see Terry. Let's get started. So head is resting down. I'm going to focus on just moving up and down, but I'm not resting into the low position. I'm still keeping my lower back, my glutes up off the ground. I'm not touching at any point. Eyes are up towards the ceiling. I'm focused on the breathing, breathing out on the way up, in on the way down. And we're almost through this series. We got the plank, which is probably the hardest of all four. And then we're going to focus on resting again. All right, back into the plank. So 6 more minutes and then we're done the workout. We're going to bring it into the cool down. So nice and straight. Focus on keeping that head neutral. Focus on trying not to keep your glutes too high in the air. It's not a downward dog. Try not to arch either. So just stay nice and neutral. And when you tire, if you do, just drop down to the knees. Glutes can be a little bit higher in this position. Try to keep the quads off of the ground. Head neutral. Focus on your breathing. 15 seconds here. Core is probably starting to tire. Keep it clean. If you lose form, I want you to just rest altogether. All right, let's go ahead. Let's grab a drink. Let's take this rest. Let's take this recovery. How's everybody doing at home? Hopefully everybody's doing well. I'll see where we're at here with the timer. So we're still good. So as you can see on the timer, once we get started, we only have 4 minutes remaining. So it's going to be 4 more minutes work, and then that extra minute that's going to be on the clock is just that extra rest that's built into the overall equation. So that would have been 30 minutes overall. Obviously, we had 6 minutes of rest built into the workout, but we did that variety of compound movements, so 2 movements within 1 set, making it a little bit more difficult through the core. And then we added in some core specifics. So we're going to go back to the bird dog. 4 more minutes. Let's keep it up. We're almost there. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to focus on a few reps on one side, and then I'm going to alternate to the other. I'm going to do this until we're done. That way I don't have to look up at the clock. I can keep my body in a good position overall. And we're almost there. So after this, we have the walkout. Let's keep it up. All right, take a little breather. Moving into the walkout here. So I'm going to do this from the knees. This can be done from the upper position as well. You can always do this from a plank position. Resting if you need to. You can always just hold this upper position. You can come back. You can stretch it out and then come back in. So the goal is to keep tension here, so try not to relax unless you're trying to and you need that recovery. Otherwise, try not to bring your hands closer than just in front of your shoulders. That way you'll keep full tension throughout. So 2 more exercises following this one. Let's move it back into that glute bridge. I'll lower this just a bit here. 2, 1, and so you can rest your hands out to the side and keep them just rested in through the upper arm. Controlling your breathing, contracting through the glutes as you come into this top position. And if you absolutely need to, just go ahead and take a break. When you're ready, we can start back up. So 1 more movement. We're almost done the workout here. All right, last one. Let's try to make it through the full 50 seconds. So we're into that top position, head neutral. So I'd like to see some comments here. Let me know what you guys thought of the workout overall, if you enjoyed it. If you're watching this after the fact and you're not watching it live, still comment. I'll see your comments. I'd like to know what you thought overall. Really appreciate the feedback. I'd like to evolve. I'm working for you. So if you give me an idea of what you like, what you didn't like, I can focus on making adjustments. Almost there. 5 seconds. Let's hold this position. All right, so just slowly bring yourselves back up. I'll let that timer keep running for a moment here. We'll give you guys another minute just before we start the cool down. So walk around, grab a drink. I'm going to take a look here. See what the comments are. I'd like to know what you guys thought, what you'd like to see change. And I'm gonna just scroll through some of these here while you guys are recovering. Thanks for those tips there, Adrian. I like those tips. It's gonna help really allowing people to focus on what they're doing. So great encouragement throughout from Adrian. Hopefully you guys are perspiring. Hopefully the intent was met. So let's focus on moving into the cool down. So we finished that workout. We achieved the goal overall, which is great. Let's cool it down. All right, so let's just focus on just moving around on the spot. I always prefer to move a little bit when I'm done. I actually just stepped on my mat here, got a little bit of a soaker from all the sweat dripping into that mat. So certainly a good workout for us. Marissa's saying she's sweating, which is great. Need to put a fan on. I know we have our AC unit hooked up right now. And it still wasn't enough to prevent all the perspiration. But I think that's due to the overall intensity. So we focused on a lot of work today. So there was more work than there was rest, which is certainly going to drive up the heart rate, especially if we have difficult compound movements like we focused on today, which are those double jointed movements that target multiple muscle groups. Doing everything one-sided also brings in that extra element of difficulty. So not only are you holding all the resistance on one side of the body, so you're forcing that core to engage, but it's exactly that. All that resistance is on one side of the body. So it certainly just makes it that much more difficult rather than handling the resistance with both hands or evenly distributing it. It's going to certainly drive up the overall difficulty of the class. So how did you guys train today? Did you go the full 30? Or should I say the full 50? Did you train for 40, take 20 rest? Did you do 30-30? See if we can get any feedback here, any comments. Let's just bring one arm behind. So we're going to keep the chin up off the chest, just stretching out through the tricep here. Tricep would have been engaged through the push-ups, it would have been engaged through the walkouts, some of the holding positions. But we're engaging the core. Let's switch sides here. So I'll be checking any more of those comments as we finish up. I can't see the ones that might have recently been indicated. So once again, just curious of how long you worked today. What was your work to rest?
They use for resistance.
Yeah, what did you guys use for resistance? What did you play for music? Throw that all in there. I'd like to hear that. Let's just bring it down. Let's focus on extending out with one leg. Let's reach down in towards the opposite leg here. Try to keep the back nice and straight. Stay tall. As we reach out towards the toes, everybody's flexibility is going to be a little bit different here. From here, let's take that bent leg. Let's bring it over top. Let's hug it in here. So while we're stretching out, I'll just remind everybody. So you're seeing this on the PSP Garrison Toronto page. A lot of great content. Make sure that you guys search through the folders, look at all the archived videos. They're all placed into different sections. Check out the PSP Southwestern Ontario page. Let's switch legs now, so extending out. Go through the videos, go through the feeds. Check out the Canadian Armed Forces PSP page. There's the virtual training that's linked through all of those Facebook's trainings that I've indicated. So you'll see advertisements on the timelines for those virtual classes. Make sure that you click on that link. It'll take you out to Calf Connection. You may just be viewing this. Let's take that leg across. Let's hug it in. You might just be seeing this workout off of the PSP Garrison Toronto page. So that's why I mention it. So click on that Calf Connection .ca. Go to the national page. That's another way to do it. Workouts are posted Monday through Friday, 12 hours a day, all different types of variety. So whether your goal is going to be HIIT training for that day, flexibility, mobility, maybe it's just a total body training session. There's a lot of variety there. Let's just lay it down. Let's bring the arms out to the side. Let's bring the feet together. And we're just going to bring the knees stacked. And we're just going to come over to one side of the body. We're looking for a bit of a stretch between the hip and the rib cage. So keep the head neutral up towards the ceiling. Try to push down on those knees. Create a little bit more of a stretch so your upper back is still resting on the ground or on your mat. Let's switch to the other side. So head's neutral. Looking for a bit of that stretch between the hip and the rib cage. So from here, let's just focus on extending one leg. Let's come to the side. Let's stretch out the quad. And you guys can roll over at home, but I'm just going to switch sides here. So I'm still facing the camera. I'm just going to perform that stretch again on the other side, trying to keep my legs somewhat together. I'm resting down on my extended arm. Looks like we had a couple more people join us. But I do appreciate all of you who are here today, all of you who are watching, who are participating. So from here, let's just roll onto the back. Let's just bring the knees up. Let's hug them in towards the chest. You guys can move around a little bit here if you'd like. And then when you're ready, you can just focus on rolling yourselves up and then slowly come back up. So that's it for today's workout. We focused on functional core strength. We focused on a series of muscular movements. We did kind of a compound type superset within each repetition. So we did a double jointed kind of exercise built into one, all single arm to try to engage the core a little bit more, and it makes the resistance a little bit more difficult, handling it on one side of the body. And then we did some specific core. So we focused on 3 sets of each. Each of those was 5 minutes with the rest, so 30 minutes in total. Hope you guys really appreciate or enjoyed the class. Leave some comments. I'll check them out after the fact. I'll even stay on here for a moment or two to see if I can respond back to any comments. I'd like to thank Adrian Parks, the fitness sports coordinator out of Garrison, Toronto, for answering all of the questions during the workout today. Jordan Guillen from London, signing out. Thank you very much, everyone. So let's see if we have any comments here. So as I said, we finish it up by 10-2, which is the exact plan here. Effective workout, thanks. I appreciate that, Kim. Great session from Mr. Parks. I think it's a bit biased here. I think the Toronto staff, the colleagues need to like it, but I'm sure you're being genuine. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. Any feedback too, I'm always open. Those who attended the session from Toronto, if you want to send me any comments, any recommendations personally, things that you like, things that you didn't like, I'd love to hear it. And more so any adjustments that are required, things that I could do better. So Marissa was saying that she was sweating. I hear you. I'm still sweating. You guys can see that, the sweat dripping off my head. Kim commented how Terry and I were both in sync. We practiced that. Wait till you see our dance video for the dance-a-thon. Terry's kettlebell. I know, beast mode. I think she was lifting more than me throughout this session. Specific and gradual. Thank you, Mr. Healy. Adrian was getting everybody ready in the beginning. Pete was warmed up, ready to rock. I'm glad that Mr. Healy attended this session today. It looks like Carly came in for a bit. Carly and I go way back. We worked together in London, Ontario, which is where I am now. Carly's moved on. She's in Ottawa, but had been to several different locations. Got some great staff in PSP. All right, no more comments. Thanks again, everybody. I want you guys to all have a great day. Get outside, enjoy the sun, but social distance. Be safe.